once again. It's Facebook is not live. YouTube is live.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello.
We're waiting on Facebook.
So I got the bullet points. Okay, but going live is an issue. Okay, I think it's live because it's saying that it's automatically, so are we live, Clo?
No.
No.
Not on Facebook.
Okay. Why is it not working? Because here I got preview.
And on YouTube, you're sharing your screen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a different screen on YouTube. Oh, I
There's-
think you are in the wrong URL because there's a new one.
Okay.
Facebook.
So we went live for like 5 minutes on YouTube, and then it ended.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 5 minutes was 20 seconds or something. Okay, yeah, Facebook is doing. I don't know what it's doing. Yeah, you see, everything can happen with technology. Let's do it again, like last
Once
week.
more with feeling.
News. I tested it already in this. Okay. We are live, finally. Okay. So, thank you very much for watching us again, and welcome to the live stream of Tech Talk. Oh no, we rebranded it already.
It's Chaos and Amazement, Phil.
Chaos and
Welcome
Amazement.
to Chaos and
Yeah.
Amazement.
Okay, yeah. So like this week we have some pretty awesome news, I think.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
every
It
week
was-
is awesome if you get to be online.
Yeah.
In my world, I mean, I could live forever just staying inside during an eternal lockdown as long as I could go online. I wouldn't miss the real world for a bit. No, really. So Chaos and Amazement, Phil.
Yeah, it's a really good name.
Yeah, I like it too. It's also the name of my weekly newsletter, where you will find the show notes of today's show. You can subscribe to my newsletter. It's being sent every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, at my Substack, clowillaerts.substack.com. It's called Chaos and Amazement because in Singularity, you know what the singularity is?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. So the technological singularity predicts that just after the singularity, so after years of disillusionment about why don't we have any self-driving cars yet, where's my jetpack? And suddenly the technological singularity happens, which I think is happening right now. You have this period of both chaos and amazement. So that's how I look at digital technology. And this is also why it's a great time to be alive. So
That's true.
there we are.
And we also got something new this week. I've added something because last week you were adding to the show that once we mentioned ChatGPT or Elon Musk, we need to do something with it. So I invented some charity jar. For every time we mention the words ChatGPT, Elon Musk, or China, then there is like a sound that it's not making now. And also a counter. And the counter is like euros every time we mention it.
Yeah.
It's €1 added to the charity jar. And at the end of the year, our viewers can
decide
which charity we're gonna,
gets all the money. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that this list of three taboo words in this show is going to get a lot longer. However, I couldn't help myself. I'm not going to talk about China today, but I'm afraid there's a little bit of ChatGPT. Maybe even a little bit of Elon Musk in there. But this week is CES in Las Vegas. I haven't been there yet, but it is, of course, the high point of every nerd's year. It's one of the biggest shows, and then usually a lot of the new hardware and software devices, robots, are being launched there. And they were there already with a pretty big booth and a very impressive presence last year, but this year they even spent even more money, and that's John Deere. So you might not expect a tractor brand at CES in Las Vegas, but they consider themselves as they don't just sell agricultural machines or tractors.
But if you are inside of it, John Deere, it's really crazy about how many technology is in like a tractor. It's crazy.
I grew up on like half a farm, so we didn't have a lot of animals, but we did have a lot of tractors. And then out of the many skills that I will never be able to use is the fact that I can actually drive one. A tractor, I
you
need
have the
like
license?
No, you don't need a license
if
you drive from like the farm to the fields. So you don't need a separate license for the. Besides, they only go like 20 kilometers an hour usually. But the ones that John Deere makes, last year at CES, by the way, they announced it, and now it's available if you want to buy it. Is their R8 tractor, and it's like a robot on 4 wheels that you can do field work with, and you can just so the farmer can have like 4 of those, and then just use his smartphone and an app to see how the thing is going and whether there's something that's blocking its way. So the R8 is basically, we're always thinking of robots. When we think of robots that will take over our jobs, we think of humanoid robots, like the ones that you see in science fiction movies. They go on, they walk on 2 legs. But I think the robots that are already there, like the ones by John Deere, actually drive on 4 really big wheels. And the reason why they were in the news was not because of the new technology that they launched at CES. Their automation vision. The reason that they were in the news was that they made an agreement with one of the bigger farmer organizations in the United States that they were giving back the right to repair to farmers to fix their own tractors whenever they break down. And there's a lot of criticism on that. I have to give it to the PR people at John Deere that they announced this 2 days before CES, and then at CES they have more stuff to announce, so it kind of is drowned out. It's not really a right to repair, because if you buy a new John Deere today, it's basically the same model as for Tesla. So you're not actually buying the machine, you're buying the right to use it. And John Deere is investing in their own satellites right now. Wow. So yeah, and have you seen this 2014 science fiction movie called Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey?
Is it the one?
It's like the world is has all dried out and the crops keep failing, and it in one of the first 15 minutes of the movie, the tractors or automated tractors, like literally, they're just not in green and yellow. But besides that, they work the fields autonomously. So and then all of a sudden they go a little haywire and they all start coming home. So and I think that's where we are today. And as a farmer, it is not your machine, and when it breaks down, or if you want to tweak it a little bit, you're not legally not allowed to do that. And now they have, so John Deere says that they have this right to repair back because they were forced by U.S. regulations.
Okay.
That is one of the things that President Biden pushed through, so it's actually in law right now. But how can you tweak the software that's on an app on your smartphone? I mean, there's really no way. But I think it's an important signal. If you buy, or basically it's like renting, it's like a Tesla, right? So you don't really own it. You subscribe to a service, to a robot, actually. You subscribe to the service of a robot, and then whenever you're late in your payments, your tractor will just simply refuse to start. So that's...
it's crazy. Yeah. But, it's the future. It's the future. We were on a webinar at Blovi event. And there was also talked about, like, you need to rethink, and it was all about subscription. You don't have a car, you borrow a car.
I remember when I was little, so my dad owned dozens of old tractors, and the ones with a flywheel on their sides, and then you have to basically start a small fire in front of the tractor to get it going. It literally. And what I liked about it is you could literally take these things apart and then put them together again with spare parts. And one of them was actually from, it must have been the Second World War, where there was no fuel for tractors, and then the previous owner had rebuilt the tractor so it could run on wood. So there was a little stove in front of the tractor, and you could still, get the engine going and do your field work, even when there was no gasoline. So that's the type of machines that there were 100 years ago. And
100 years.
100 years ago.
100 years.
I happen to remember that it was built in the 1920s. So that's. But this is not how machines are today. This is not how cars are today. And I wonder what type of machines will change. We were just talking about Rhumbas, which... Yeah,
but I've got something to mention, because maybe the people will like it. I am also a car wrap designer, and for an influencer in the Netherlands, I made a car wrap of John Deere on his Lamborghini Urus. So I'm going to show it to you.
Wow, that looks really, really good. Is that a literal... That's not like a mock-up in Photoshop. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. And the people of John Deere was also happy with it. I can
imagine.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful brand. I don't think it's the number one tractor brand in the world, but it's definitely number two. So it's a very powerful brand. That was really... So you still do this, wrapping other people's cars?
Yeah.
I want to have my car wrapped one day, and I want to look at as if it's from the movie Tron, the original version or the new one. I don't care.
I also did this for Enzo Knol, a Tron version, but with red lines on a Porsche Panamera.
Wow. I don't drive a Porsche, unfortunately. I wouldn't want to.
No.
We were talking about robots, right? So a robot that is in a lot of people's homes is the Rhumba. I bought one in 2018, and it's I'm not going to say it's a joy of my life, but it's definitely
a little vacuum cleaner on dancing.
Yes, they're round, circular shaped, and they just vacuum your living room, for example, and they're not too big to just roll their way under your couch and then take care of that as well. And a lot of people have. You don't have one?
No. I don't have one. No, because I've got dogs, and sometimes when I'm gone, the dogs leave
behind a little. We don't use those words here, Phil.
Poop.
They leave behind. I've seen a picture of a Roomba that accidentally rolled through some dog poop and then turned the living room into a pentagram of shit.
Wow.
But one thing about Roombas, I think we don't realize that a lot of people have this robot in their houses, and most people also give them names.
What's the name of your?
Mine is so I set the language settings to Spanish, and so his name is Manuel. And his last name, I apologize, it's a very corny joke, but his last name is Labor. Because he's the only one who does manual labor in the house. But as soon as you have like a robot in your house, you name it and you start to consider it as a being, like a pet, really. Yeah. And the company behind Rhumba is called iRobot. A couple of years ago, more than 2019, I think they had some prototypes and they wanted people to test them, and then collect data about how they were using these robots, how often they were using it, what the issues were. Now these people got a gift voucher for $30 to have this Rhumba in their house for 3 months. And it was one of those, mine doesn't have a camera, but it must have been one of those that has a camera. So turns out, the news broke this, you know where this is going, right? Turns out that in an MIT Technology Review article, broke the news that the pictures that the Rhumba took of the households, it kind of leaked to the internet. And then some of those are very intimate, of course, because this Rhumba moves around in your bedroom, your living room. So there was one particular person who said, I feel used, because pictures of him sitting on the toilet, with his naked ass, were spread on the internet, and the ones that are very hard to scrub off. So,
oh my God,
that's it's not the first time that iRobot gets into trouble with the Rhumba, because they had a data breach 2 years ago, I think, and then whoever broke into their systems got a hold basically on data about the house, the plan, the layout of the house of a lot of people. So if you know where the Rhumba goes, you know where the living room is, you know where the bedroom is, you know where the door is. So, iRobot, do better. Yes. We mentioned CES, and so John Deere, big presence at CES. I also noticed, I'm still waiting for like the big news from CES. It's not coming. We're spoiled, of course.
So next week it's gonna be.
I hope so. Maybe the big players are all waiting for the big reveal. I was hoping to get more robots there. Yeah. But we got something else. So there's this. Remember last week we talked about virtual reality for grandma.
Yeah.
So this week there's a South Korean company called DeepBrain AI, and at CES last week they showcased a service called Rememory. And what it does is it takes images, audio, and video of a person who is like basically with one foot in the grave.
Oh my God!
Yes. So, and collects all these data and images of this person, and then uses these data to create a deep fake digital twin of this person, and so the voice, video of them talking. And then images of their face, basically from different angles. So that, and this is what the service is about. So after they die, you can still talk to this deepfake of your grandmother, for example, and then finally, maybe if it's like, I don't know, your father or something, finally finish that conversation you were planning on having with a loved one.
Yeah, but it's not that crazy because I'm also on MyHeritage. I don't know it's like the stamp tree, or how do you say it? And
the family tree and genetics and
and you also have pictures of my elderly
already in there, or did you upload them?
No, somebody did, but you also have an AI tool that they can move around, so smile or wink with the eyes or something like that. It's really crazy. It's like they're coming alive, but it's not with speaking, but it's crazy when you see it. There are people in the 19th century and stuff like that. So,
do you remember those apps that usually cost like $15 a month or 2 months ago, where you could upload 15 selfies and then it would turn out?
Yeah.
Really good-looking selfies, versions of that. Well, MyHeritage, I made an account with a throwaway email address, my iCloud address, on MyHeritage.
Okay.
Because they offer that feature as well.
Oh.
So it's an integration with the same technology as the one in the apps, but it's for free because they use it, MyHeritage, to suck new users in. And so there are versions of me, and I've used a couple of those as an astronaut, as an Egyptian queen.
I don't get it.
As a nurse in the First World War.
For me, it's not doing the thing. It's like crazy.
Oh no, I loved it. Some of them looked more like me than myself.
Really?
Really, it kind of the way it creates like versions of you. It's uncanny how sometimes they will pick up facial features that you were not aware of, and I was impressed by it.
Okay.
And they're also quite flattering. So I think that's part of the success.
It was really crazy, but I was looking at, in AI, it was really crazy. So I didn't post any pictures of it.
So DeepBrain talk to a deepfake version of your deceased loved ones, and I'm pretty sure that there's a big market for it. I think you should keep your finger on the buzzer.
Oh.
Right now. Yes.
Okay.
It's been an interesting week for ChatGPT again. There we are. $1, €1,
€1,
€1 in the jar.
Yes.
So obviously, I noticed that it started to slow down. That the server was having, issues with all of these, probably hundred thousands of simultaneous requests. So this is unsustainable, and they are thinking aloud about a premium version. And I think this is the way it will have to go. You can't. It's good to have a couple of millions of people using the tool and training it, and they can learn from how it's being used. But I noticed a couple of days ago they did a hard reset of the whole system, and it was a little frustrating for me because I had been training my version of ChatGPT intensely for 3 or 4 weeks. I was teaching it how to write like me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my whole history of the text that we've been writing was lost. So I had to start again with like the default setting, but it's fine. It's a free tool, and then they launched a survey on Google Forms. I mean, I use Google Form, when I have to, for my students, for the casual. If you want to use like a casual online, otherwise you use SurveyMonkey, something like that. But their main investor is Microsoft. This must have annoyed Microsoft quite a lot. But they sent a Google form where they would ask questions about what type of profile do you have? Are you an individual or a professional? Are you a student? What are you using it for? And then I asked, what would be an amount that you would you be willing to pay for this service? And then I asked some other follow-up questions to help them assess how much they could ask if they would go premium.
If it's too much or too low,
yes.
What is the perfect price?
And for me, like €5 or dollars a month would be ridiculously low. And I don't know, 20, 25, 30 would be too much. And for me, the sweet spot was somewhere, the Goldilocks zone. For me, would be something like €18 a month. I would willingly pay that.
If you go on Jasper.ai, you're paying
I think more.
$60 to $90.
Yes, and Lumen 5, one of my favorite video tools, is also more expensive. Then again, Canva is cheaper. So it would be somewhere in between Canva and then...
Yeah, they can do it because they have so many subscribers now. They can do it. So
and then maybe the premium version could get... first in line whenever it gets busy. So they are always guaranteed to have access to the tools, and then the free version would stay available for whatever is left in bandwidth. I don't even need new features. The system, because it is AI, it learns from us humans.
But maybe
carbon-based life forms.
They will also bring a maximum of words you can get from the program.
Oh, so that the free
Like
version
Jasper.
only 10,000 characters and then it ends
Yeah.
for that day. Oh, that's a very good idea. So
Yeah.
a freemium.
Yeah, Jasper
freemium-
is also doing it like this, so I think it's the way to go for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I fully support this initiative. And then Microsoft, of course, finally, they're having their day. After being considered the most boring of the big giants, they have a big stake in OpenAI. They're not the only ones, but they are the biggest internal client that ChatGPT thing has. And of course, they will integrate ChatGPT into Word, all of their Office products, basically email, Outlook. Just imagine that your email program like Outlook. I had to warn my students in Brussels. So there was a deadline for a big assignment on Tuesday, and I was I thought I mentioned it like 100 times. 10th of January is the deadline for your assignment, and then 1/3 of the students just didn't send in anything. And then it's good to know that you have this writing companion where you can ask, how do I firmly but friendly tell my students that they missed the deadline, and then I just literally copy-pasted what came out. So if this is already part of Outlook, if this can help you write better text, it's just the way to go, I think. So good for you, Microsoft. Good.
Yeah, Apple is gonna get it hard now.
Speaking of services like that, this is from an article on UX Planet. So I am like UX blind. I don't have any sense of style. I think that's kind of clear to everyone. But that's
the synergy is good.
Yeah, the synergy is good. You have a sense of style. I don't. I can write, you design. So there's a lot of wiki. For all of UX Planet is a pretty good source for anything UX related. I highly recommend it. They just published an article on a phenomenon they call Technostress. And I had to think of, we use so many services now. It's available on your smartphone, in the cloud. You can work from anywhere. And the fact that everything is an app now and that everything is in the cloud now just overwhelms a lot of people. And that's what they call Technostress. And I don't know if you noticed that in one of our biggest cities in Belgium here, Antwerp, someone cut the electricity accidentally, I hope. So they didn't have any electricity for more than an hour. So that means that the little electric trams didn't work, the traffic lights don't work, businesses, private people, so everything goes like doo. And this comes only a couple of weeks ago after the whole administration system was hacked. And so I think this shows how vulnerable we all are. The only thing I don't want to give any ideas to anyone, but basically there's literally a couple of places where you just pull the plug and then everything stops in its tracks. You can be stuck in an elevator right now and then make sure you're going to have a bad 1.5 hour.
Yeah.
With the services being overwhelmed, so they have to prioritize. So Technostress, I think, is not only the stress of having so many things going on your smartphone, in the cloud, with your apps, but it's also the stress. You're so dependent on it. Yeah. That the minute it's not available to you anymore, you get the feeling that you don't know what to do. Would you know what to do?
No. I was thinking about this week. I was using Illustrator for a logo design, and it was crashing all the time. And it was really making me, I was going wicked. What do I do now? Because the client wants it now. It was for this weekend they need it. And all the time, 5 minutes, puff, it shut down.
Yes.
Once again, and that is really stressful because you want to move
Keep
on.
moving.
Yeah, and moving on, time and independent on electricity and stuff like that. It's Technostress. Yeah, I can imagine.
And usually you know whose fault it is when something goes wrong and you can't use it, or you can be angry with yourself. But now Grammarly was really slow past week, and I don't know why. Has everyone suddenly started writing again? I have no idea.
Maybe with the ChatGPT,
and
people are making applications and stuff like that, because I saw that they were that they can code as well. So maybe the servers of Amazon and
AWS was thinking. Oh, that's actually a pretty good theory. But it annoyed me a lot, because I'm in the zone. I'm writing. I just want to check the spelling and the tone and voice. And Grammarly equally has AI. So I've been working with the professional version for 3 years now. So it knows my writing style. And then Technostress. It gave me a lot of Technostress.
But I see it a lot in the evenings, and when America is going on the internet or something like that, because in the morning there's no issue.
Yes. That's why I try to be. I always have good intentions in the morning, so I have my one super healthy meal for breakfast. Because when I get up, I'm full of good intentions. I'm gonna be productive. Gonna drink green tea, ginger and lemon. I'm gonna have yogurt and fruit. And by noon, it's kind of, the balance is shifting, and then by night I'm eating a full bag of crisps while watching something stupid on Netflix.
And then start again in the morning.
And then start all over again. But the good thing about this cycle of doom in my life is that when I feel like, yes, I can do this, I have my life under control. So before noon, I also go online and do most of the creative work. And then luckily, the ChatGPT and Grammarly and all the cloud services that I use when I have to upload video, stuff like that, that works pretty well in the morning. And then when, I don't know which one wakes up first, like East Coast or West Coast, and then you can see that it's a fight for bandwidth on these services. But you might be right. They could be most of them could be hosted at Amazon Web Services, and that kind of explains things.
I'm seeing it a lot on LinkedIn. It's all the time people who shortcuts to create a platform or to make a website. And it's like low code people. It's not the big coders.
Building services on top of.
There was some guy who was asking ChatGPT to find the bug in his platform, and he found it. It's really crazy that it can do this.
I often ask it to clean up my HTML code, because I don't like span tags. I don't like div tags. I know they kind of keep things together, but I'm not doing very complicated things. And it does that well. Also, it creates tables, like tables in my book. Tables look really good. They organize things. But maybe we should move to Mars, man. I actually wrote a whole blog post about it because it triggered me. We know that he who shall not be named and who took over Twitter last year has this thing about colonizing Mars. There's this article by a software developer. I just can he's in the show notes anyway, the source. He calculated with the technology that we have today, what it would cost to get a mission to Mars as compared to Moon. And literally, it's like $100 billion per mission, and that's a lot of money. I mean, you can buy a lot of Twitters for that. I mean, 2.5 Twitters for that, just for one mission. And once there, it doesn't even make sense being there. It's such a hostile environment. There's nothing to dig up or make money with or it will be so difficult. It's just the type of mission that you would think, but why? Why would we want to go there? There's nothing there for us. It's a very hostile environment. It will make a lot more sense, I think, to just try and catch interesting meteors and then send something or someone to that meteor, like a meteor that contains, I don't know, slivers of pure gold.
But there is an article that in Israel, I think, there was a meteor and they found human DNA in the meteor. So it's really crazy. And one other thing, this week I saw a topic on launching satellites with kinetic energy.
Yeah, but they do like a slingshot.
Yeah, like a slingshot. Wow, that is
yes
crazy to see. They already are.
I like it.
Building
Or
a prototype.
Solar sails. The thing about going to space, because I'm obviously a space nerd. We all love NASA and Star Trek, Star Wars, don't we all? But there's a lot of radiation in space, and you would get all sorts of nasty cancers just from being in space. And it's not a very attractive idea right now. And then in my blog post, I started thinking about, why would we even want to go to Mars? But the worst thing of living in a colony on Mars, with what we have today, is that we would probably have Elon Musk as the governor as well, because that I'm pretty sure that's one of his crazy plans, is to become the first president of Mars. I bet he already has the T-shirt or the suit that goes with it. And with that management style, what a nightmare that would be. I mean, just imagine that he decides who gets to live or die. So there's a shortage in food or in water or, I don't know, oxygen. And then he would decide something like only the ones with the eugenics score of 10 out of 10 get priority in the food line. I mean, that's just, no, let's not. So
yeah, it's
Mars,
like the time when he was in the talk show and how we gonna live on Mars? How do we gonna warm it up? And he told there's a fast way and a slow way, and the fast way is nuking the poles. So it's crazy. Super villain Elon.
No, I'm not even sure if I like the idea of interstellar travel.
I want to go to the moon. To see the Earth.
To look down on Earth.
Yeah.
To see the blue marble.
Yeah.
Yes, that must be great. To just see Earth from a distance, far enough distance, so that you can see the whole globe.
It's like a city trip, but then a moon trip. Like a short.
The famous picture of Earth was taken in, I think, 1976, where for the first time there was a picture where you could see the whole of Earth, and it has this the blue marble. The picture is called Blue Marble, taken by someone on a moon mission, and it changed how people thought about nature and conserving nature, because for the first time people all over the world realized that we have only one planet and that we have to take care of it. It kind of forced everyone to think out of the box.
That reminds me, on January 1st it was 14 degrees at midnight. That's crazy.
That's kind of hot, yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, AI. I keep coming back to that. So
it's the year of AI. So
it's the year of AI, definitely. Yeah. We see real life use cases of AI, and what I like about it is the cases I like most are the ones that finally help us make sense of big data. And a couple of years ago, a young guy, I think he's British, started Do Not Pay, I think it's co.uk, and it's a service for people who get fines, like traffic fines. And what Do Not Pay basically was in its original form is it analyzed the local legislation and the precedents around this particular traffic fines, and would help people who would use the service to construct a letter they could send to the right organization, and a letter containing the right legal arguments so that you would eventually not have to pay the fine. And it worked. Now, why am I telling you this? Next month in February, there's a first case of, I'm looking for the place exactly where this is happening.
It's interesting.
Yeah, where someone who is about to stand in court will be assisted with an earpiece. An earpiece. It could be like, iPod.
Back in the days with the Bluetooth.
Yes, an earpiece with a text-to-voice version of this Do Not Pay bot. Let's call it a bot, advising what to say in court to defend himself. So the person, the defendant, does not wish to be named. But this is one of the cases where I think I can see how this works, because especially in the United States, the idea of a legal precedent is really powerful. In our system, we look more at damage. How much damage did this do? Did you make any victims? Is there something where you can prove that you broke or you stole or you, I don't know, somehow damaged someone or something, and then kind of put whenever you're being tried, they try to punish you based on how much damage you did. Now, in the United States, it's a different system. They will look at precedent. So they don't have like this legal code that is hundreds of years old. It's a lot younger than that. So not everything covers what's going on in the society. So they will very often lean on precedent. So similar cases in the past 5 years. So as a lawyer, if you have to defend someone, you have to know all these cases, like I don't know, traffic violations or murdering someone or, I don't know, divorce. And the impact of being able to prove, but in that different state 3 years ago, there was someone with a similar crime and they only got 5 years. Or this actually is taken into account. Now, if you have like this AI whispering in your ear, mention that in 2003... in Roe versus Wade, and you could actually use this in court.
Wow,
that's interesting. So that
my legal office is gonna be. Oh my God, it's also coming to me, AI.
Yeah, but this opens up the market of being a legal professional to completely different profiles, because if you want to do legal studies at universities like this, I'm wanting to become like a doctor or especially a surgeon. It took longer than the regular education, and it was only for like the most intelligent ones who were able to remember all of these laws and facts, and now the whole remembering part can just be outsourced to an AI, so that the one who is there, like the lawyer defending someone, can focus not on defending this person, on the interpersonal skills and trying to convince a jury or a judge that they should set someone free.
It's really going fast now.
Yes, it's a real life case, and it's going to be used, I think, on the 8th of February. So it would be, but we don't know which case, we don't know which defendant, but I'm pretty sure that we will hear about the outcome. Did the AI win? And the next step is, of course, that the judge is an AI, so that the judge, and this is where AI crosses a line. I mean, this would cross a line. I think if it's good to have a system that makes sense of big data, and then kind of produces something to say or something to send in a letter, but making decisions should never be left to AI. Although they would make better decisions than humans would, because they're not biased.
But can you imagine that when we have to implement, how do you say it, when it's integrating in our body, AI? That's
one part that I don't believe. It when the brain interfaces, the brain-computer interfaces. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Elon is also working on it with.
I don't think it's gonna happen any day soon.
What is the name of Elon's project?
Neuralink.
Neuralink,
yeah. It's not. It was supposed to be here already. He promised that it would be live, and then he quickly bought a smaller company, like a competitor that was, a little bit ahead of what they were doing at Neuralink. It's still not there because the two systems, brain is wetware, as I call it, and very hard to interface it with. And why? I mean, there are some theoretical cases, like people who are paralyzed, for example, for some reason, where the interface between the brain and the body is somehow broken, and they could be helped through. But apart from that specific case where it could help people who are paralyzed, I'm not a big fan of having something implanted. I would are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek fan?
I like both.
You like both? Do you know who 7 of 9 is?
No.
7 of 9. Well, she's like you know who the Borg are?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Borg. So she's half Borg
Okay.
and half human, and she is built. She's got this beautiful woman, the actress, and she's got this brain computer interface, and you can see bits and pieces of it on her face. Not a big fan. No, I think no.
2 years later, Clo with the old interface.
I would rather have like some of the characters in Star Trek series have pretty cool tattoos, and I would rather have Chakotay's tattoos over here, or Jadia Dex's little spots over her body, rather that than having a brain
Clo,
computer
public
interface.
speaker, joining the stage now.
I have to. Yeah, we're still. Can you check if there are any comments or questions on what we're doing?
Yeah, there's one.
I'm gonna do a quick check.
One comment of Tibos is.
One comment. I can see that there's one comment.
Yeah.
Gas erop gaan, dus yes, all right. That's what we do. And yeah, YouTube is a bit, that's very rare to have comments on a young channel like this one. What else did I have? The creator economy. I think I actually, one of those other books that I have in draft, so it's far from published, talks about the creator economy in 2 or 3 of the chapters. And I came up with this model called content community commerce, where you would have to first create content so you attract the community like a tribe, and you learn from this tribe how to make better content for them. So content and community becomes like this. It's in perpetual motion. They influence each other, and the more you get to know your community, the better the content you create for this community becomes. And then after a while, this is how your tribe grows. And usually, if you look at examples on YouTube or a newsletter or a blog or Twitter or TikTok, it can take up to 2 years.
Yeah, they all say keep in it for 6 months at least.
At least, I think like 18 months is more realistic of creating content for this community so that the tribe grows. And then there's this model called 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly of Wired Magazine. And he says if you're able to make 1,000 people really happy with your content and ask them to pay you €5 a month or $10 a month, you can make a living with your content. So that's the whole content community commerce. So a lot of the creator community is based on models like that, and getting advertising revenue from YouTube or using Patreon to get. You have these influencers, of course, who think they can make a living by being sponsored in money from that. In reality, that's not happening for the majority of that. So that's I turned it into a blog post, but basically I think this is also the year that everyone realizes that the dream of a lot of young people, like children, 10 years old, 16-year-old, if you ask them, what do you want to become when you grow up?
Influencer.
In my days, it would have been doctor and or astronaut. I used to say that I wanted to. What did I say? I wanted to be an air hostess. Yes, that's when I was 7 or something.
And you didn't know?
Well, I did work for Virgin Express for a couple of years, but I was their webmaster, not air hostess. They are brilliant people to work with, by the way, cabin crew, as they're called. Because they're used, you can take them to a war if you want to. If I could pick like any type of people for a platoon to go to a literal war with, I would pick cabin crew.
Okay.
They're fit, they're funny, they speak like 10 languages, and they can solve any situation. I mean, they have...
And it's an IT crew, or is it the all marketing IT, or what is it?
When I worked there, I worked with like a half IT marketing crew, but cabin crew, they are literally the people who serve the passengers while they are on board. Those people, like air hostess.
Yeah.
And you can throw anything at a male or female, by the way. It doesn't really matter, but most of them are female. You can throw anything at them, and they will. You just can't beat these people. I was in charge of the Virgin Express's presence at the big music festivals in Belgium for 1 year. And especially when it gets later in the evening, people get drunk and then they start to harass people or doing all sorts of things. And they were just always so professional. They never got tired. We had a lot of fun together as well. So work hard, party hard. That's what I liked about it. So, and that's when I made up my mind.
I never traveled with Virgin.
If I can pick like an all-star team, I would just go for cabin crew. They can take anything.
Okay.
But how did we come from creator economy to cabin crew? I'm not sure how we did that. Influencers, right? Influencers. I think the idea that young people have of being an influencer and making money that way is very naive. And of course, there's this top 1% of the Ronaldos of this world who do make literal lots of cash by being an influencer. But majority, the influencers that do have an income, do not do this through sponsorships. They do this through, for example, online services that they offer, like online courses where you pay to do this online course on masterclass.com or Coursera or something like that. Some of them make money through merchandising.
Yeah.
So it looks a lot. The creator economy is there, but I don't think it is anything like the average 10-year-old thinks it looks like. It is a viable, but I wouldn't call it an economy. I mean, it is if you're good with video, if you're good with writing, if you're able to keep the interest of a large enough community for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I think you can make money with it.
It's also more fun when it's in purpose of your business, because you have this like a recommended social media. I think it's better than only be an influencer, because you always need to step up your game and
keep it interesting for your tribe. And I think that's the hard part. Remember last week we mentioned a BBC podcast series about gurus. I was actually listening to the last episodes on my way to the hub here, our studio, socialrunners.com studio. And a lot of these gurus are also influencers, and then it's a very tough game to keep it going, to keep coming up with fresh content, and keep your tribe interested. Yeah. And then not a lot of them are able to keep this going for more than 2 or 5 years. After a while, they just run into some wall, or they do or say something that crosses a line for their own community, and they get cancelled.
Yeah.
So. It's not the easiest way. And we're both also experimenting with the format and how to cut it up in little pieces. And then it starts with me. It starts with tweets. I just throw out a number of things, links to interesting news in the course of the week. And then I turn it into a blog post. Then the blog post turns into show notes. Yeah. The show notes get turned into a live video. The show notes also end up in the newsletter, and then the live video gets
chopped up because people don't watch 1 hour straight.
Of course not. And for those 2 people who do today, we love you.
Thank you. No, and it's also good to have like the subject, and I want to know about this subject, so I watch this video. Yeah. So that's the reason why I'm doing this, and I see a lot of different interests. Of course, but I think people like it this way, because 1 hour of live stream listening is really hard. Maybe in the car, like a podcast, that is easy to do. But when you're sitting in the sofa with your phone,
well, maybe working out. Yeah. You were going to push this out as a podcast as well, I think. Yeah. So maybe by next week we will have a link for that as well.
Yes.
Now, in the last 5 minutes, I try to end with a couple of useful or funny sites. And a useful site that I found is called Tiny Wow. So literally TINY, tinywow.com. And it's not the first and not the only online service where you can shrink the file size of a lot of types of files. But as you know, I like the way it looks. I like the way it works. And you can PDFs, images, videos.
That's interesting.
So every possible type of digital file that you have, and that is too heavy to upload, or to email or whatever. I like the interface, and I like everything about tinywow.com. So.
Yeah, they also have AI image generator already.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, that I didn't have it when I discovered it. So
Profile
that's
photo maker as well.
I see.
Yeah.
So even though we have clouds that are availability, we used to start with Dropbox, and now we have iCloud, we have Microsoft Cloud, we have Google Clouds. I still run out of space. Because
Definitely when you're doing
when you know
videos.
you have room, you just start adding more. Plus, on websites, for example, your images have to load fast and still look good. So that's what TinyWow can help you. And then the last one is Housel. So Housel.Housel. I wasn't even sure. So
can you spell it? Because
House. So HOUSLE dot, and then the same word again. Housel.Housel. So it's Wordle for houses.
Housel.Housel.
Housel.Housel, yeah. That's
going to Google on my. Okay.
So Wordle launched in 2018, and then the New York Times bought it. Do you Wordle? You don't?
No.
I Wordle every day.
Yeah, but you're a copywriter. I'm a designer. I draw.
True that.
I
true
sketch.
That. It's a little. It's such a simple word game, and it's amazing how fast it kind of becomes part of your daily routine.
Yeah.
So I'm a lady that does crosswords. I mean, it's Wordle, but it makes me feel good every day for a few minutes maybe.
Okay.
And there are a lot of clones, so they're different as. I don't know. You tell me. There's harder versions. There's versions where you have 4 words at the same time. Where you have, there's Wordle for Dutch words. So there's a lot of copycats of Wordle, and even after. So when did this become a thing? I think during the pandemic is one of those things that went viral during the pandemic. So it's been going on for 2 years, and there's still copycats coming out. So Housel is one of those, and I'm not sure if you found it in the meanwhile.
No.
So first your 4 letters HOUSLE.
Yeah.
Housel. .house. Sorry.
.house.
Oh.
Okay.
Housel.house.
Yeah. Now
you have it now. Okay, so what's the deal with Housel? So basically, the game is as follows: you get the sales pictures of a house that is actually for sale somewhere in the United States. You could easily make a copy of this for the Belgian houses or whatever you have, ugly Belgian houses. I don't know. And so you see a house, and you have to guess
too low
how much it sells for. And you're trying this as we speak. What I think it costs is always too low.
Yeah, with me as well.
You think this one is like 200 million? Too high?
Yeah, no, now it's too high.
Now it's too high. It's weirdly addictive. Housel.house. It's weirdly addictive because you try to. You do this because you think if you do this often enough, you get good at guessing what the price of a house is. But it's also, I think it's a big success now because everyone is complaining about how expensive houses are. The housing market's still crazy. And it's painful because it's been this crazy for a year or 2 years now. But getting a bank loan to buy a house is no longer attractive. So it's now becoming more expensive to get a loan from a bank to buy a house. So the party's over when it comes to bank loans.
But do you think there is going to be a crash? The housing market?
If it were like a literal bubble, it would have burst a long time ago. I think the fact that it's sustainably high, the prices of buildings, of houses, has been high for 2 or 3 years. That's long for a bubble. I mean, that's long. I think they will, of course, eventually have to go down, but slowly. I think they will go down slowly. When a market crashes, it's usually because something is built upon something that is not really valuable. And in Belgium especially, I think we all, compared to other countries, we all want to be house owners.
Yeah.
We do. And
we say a break in the stomach.
Yes, that's why in some calculations Belgians are more or richer than most other countries, because more Belgians own a house, and the other half wants to. I think specifically in Belgium, a lot of people still want to buy a house, but I think that is why I thought Housel.house was so attractive, because
that's true.
It's a website. It's funny. It's time waster, but then also it's painful to see how bloody expensive houses are today.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's all I had. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of amazement. We had to use the buzzer a couple of times. Let us know.
Yeah, we are at 13 euros for this first episode. So
30 euros for
13.
13.
Yeah,
that's
13.
good.
Yeah,
or bad, depending on, because
no, it's good to give to charity. So
yes. So next week, same time.
Next week, same time, and when CSS happens, it's often a lot of
Maybe
news.
there will be an awesome robot.
Wow.
Next week, launched at CES. So see you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.